So you see emerald, which is, emerald colored emerald. But the frame is with 2 red gemstones. But what we're really happy about is that these 2 things do not compete for your attention. The same with the arcanite. It's orange, but the gems in the frame are purple. But since they belong to separate planes, it's all right. And this will also allow people who will mod the game to create their own items and to mix the frames and the items in any way they want. So let's go somewhere else here on the same board, on this board. Let's zoom out and go to, let's say, the books. I think the books are finished. We're almost done. So with the books, if you read some discussions on the books, you know where we started. Originally, we had hundreds of different books, and these different books contain different knowledge, and it was a bit of a mess. And once we started running simulations of what do you see on the screen, how do you go to the library and find a book that this specific character can read, we ran into the issue that it was difficult to really to sort through. So in the end, we ended up with just 5 shelves of books. Each shelf is responsible for 3 skill points. And you go from the simple book to the most advanced book on the right side. And then among the top 3 levels of books, you also have books written in a different language, in ancient tongue. So you can see in the lower line the same books, level 3, level 4, level 5, but with this symbol of the ancient tongue on the cover, the same symbol you will also see in the skill tree when you will look at that. Now you see scrolls, 3 types of scrolls. Scroll is something that gives you just one piece of knowledge, whether this is the location or it's just one special knowledge. For example, a scroll can, let me give you an example. So it could be a scroll that'll say, breeding creepers. And you will know all about creepers from that scroll. How to breed them in the kennel, what to do against their poison, and what is the spell that is the most efficient against them. And that's it. So scroll just gives you this one piece of information. Once you read the scroll, it's gone, it's destroyed. Let's look at containers. Containers is good. Okay. So different alchemic potions, of which we have a lot, come in different containers. So certain elixirs will be in a flask, some will be as a mixture, some will be as a powder, some will be as an ointment. The difference will be in colors. So let's say something red and flask could be a anti-mosquito drink, and something blue. So basically you'll have different potions, but each potion has only one specific container into which it can be poured. And of course you've got the barrel, but maybe a barrel of wine. We will have wine. We currently plan to have alcohol addiction, and that will have negative consequences on characters that fall to this addiction. Now, weapons. As our game designer has repeated several times, we do not think of Spire of Sorcery as a combat-friendly game. If you have to fight, that means that you're already in suboptimal line of campaign. Generally, magic should be enough to see you through. But
so mostly adventurers will bring these items to you if you'll encounter them, or bandits. If you loot the bandits, then there will be these weapons. But that's not the main option for the game. To give your mages an axe. That sounds kind of strange. So we're trying to point out that we raise our apprentices as a mages, not like a guard for a city.
It's a bit like if you're sending one of our artists across the city to pick up a new keyboard, And she may encounter some people who would like to relieve her of this keyboard. Sure, we can give her an axe, but probably it's better if we give her an app that will call a taxi and prevent the battle. But the only exception, but not the only exception, but the thing that we discussed just a couple of days ago was that to collect certain ingredients, let's go, for example, here to food. Yeah, just let's talk a little bit about foraging. So here's the thing that we discussed just a couple of days ago. Your disciples travel through the forest. They find a herb. They haven't seen it before. Can they collect it and bring it back to the Spire even though they don't know what it is? We think no. What is going to happen is you're going to have a marker on the map that'll say, here grows some herb that we don't know, and it requires level 7 skill of herbology to understand what it is and to bring it back to the Spire. What this means is that to gather those herbs, you will need to send the most advanced herbology student. But if he's so good at herbology, then he is also required in the Spire to grow other herbs and to continue advancing in his knowledge. So you have a balance. You will have the need of sending advanced disciples on a foraging missions, which may be dangerous. And this is where you want to give him a shield, you want to maybe give him some stupid but strong companion with an axe. So it'll be a combination. Now we look at the raw food. So the raw food is made of meat and gourmet meat and fish and gourmet fish and mushrooms, root and berries, which we just mix together. And then you've got vegetables, which you will be able to buy from the villages or grow, but that's not going to be available at the start of the game. And then you get wild herbs, and then you've got hidden root, which is the delicacy, and the fruit of death flower, which is also a delicacy, and then something which is called weird avocados. So weird avocados is the food item without the name. Trying to see. Okay, yeah. So if you look at gourmet ration, then this is what we call the weird avocado. That's right there. And that comes from the abandoned gardens of the mages from the ancient times. They used to have huge gardens, then they were gone. These gardens are abandoned, but they still bear fruit. Just like here in Lithuania, there are some old apple orchards, maybe 100 years old. And if you go there, if you bike there, it's all overgrown, but sometimes suddenly in the middle of the forest, you've got those huge apples falling on you, and you know that someone 100 years ago cultivated something here. And then we've got the cook rations. But it's all in production. Why?
We've changed the layout of elements they consist of, so we decided to place everything by recipe. If we have two raw food objects, then we need to place them on an icon, so it represents the recipe as it should be.
Okay, let's...
how about we'll go to a board with a global map where we can see regions and who habits the areas, and to
let's
show
go to
it,
the world map.
it will be easier to show. Let's find the proper board. We have
you can see a lot of boards, and a lot of that stuff is no longer relevant. Well, you know what? Can we take a look at alchemic properties just quickly?
Yeah, sure.
So let's start from... Yeah, so you guys are now seeing the way things work. And I think we start from here or even from here. Yeah. So basically, when we started alchemic properties, of which we have quite a few, I think 20 something, we had to invent our own language to show this to you, and we decided, I mean, first of all, we decided to look at different styles and different options that we could use for this language. So if you look at this board, then you will see almost, real drawings of a person who's happy or who's sad. You got a butterfly, you got a tree, and we thought this doesn't work out because alchemy is an advanced skill, and someone is sitting in the studio cooking a potion. It looks pretty shitty if you have just those arrows.
Yeah, so we were thinking that it will look like more like a comic book than a recipe for alchemy potion, right? If it will look like a real objects without any abstraction and symbolism. Because in this situation it was looking too real. So we tried to move away from it towards simplification and symbolism.
So move to the next. Yeah.
Yeah. So we went to the simplification and overall lines and shapes. This one represents the idea of more like a runic way of drawing, like simple hard lines, edges, nothing soft, and it looked super simple, like it was carved on stone. And in our world, it's higher level of knowledge than writing on stone, so we wanted to improve on this way of drawing and make it softer, like it was drawn on a paper when the alchemist was trying to write the new recipe quite fast, but at the same time the symbol should be complicated, but it should look handwritten.
It's a secret knowledge, and so we wanted to minimize the number of strokes. We did not think that alchemist would be sitting and drawing, a sun with 9 different strokes, or he would be drawing some complicated picture. It's more like a doctor's writing. When you go to the doctor and the doctor gives you a certain recipe and the doctor just does, and that's it. So you can see that different options had different alternatives. We liked some things, we didn't like other things, we made some comments. That's the result of discussion between 5 different people. And let's move to where we move next. Think to the right. Yeah. So we're just 3 steps away. Some symbols were pretty were rejected for different reasons. One symbol was too close to some Nazi symbol. Another symbol looked like a penis, and we can insist that it's not a penis, but then if we show it to different people and they say it looks like a penis, we have to give up and say, yeah, let's do something else. So normally how we progress is we find the symbols that everyone likes, and then we work on the rest until they go to the same level. You can see that some symbols were easy, like calming, intoxicating, but some symbols like greasy, they took a lot of iterations. There's I think 9 or 10 here. We kept working on this. Some things were small changes, like if you look at life, it's a heart, a heart is a heart. And death was pretty easy. So you've got mind, which is a circle, and you've got death, which is a crossed out circle, and that was it. Same for magic and sorcery and permanence, which is similar to infinity sign or chaos. But some things like exciting, that took us some work to do. So let's move to the next. Yeah. And there you are. Except for corrosive, which we replaced based on the feedback that it looks like a World War II symbol. Everything else here is as we liked it. And I don't know if you have the final version of corrosive. Okay.
Not on the board. Yes.
Yeah, one of those is the final. Okay, so now let's go back to the world map and the world of the game.
Yeah, we finally found it in our archives, and it should be somewhere.
Oh Jesus, it's snowing like hell outside.
Yeah. Found it. Art assets map of Rund. So here we were trying to assemble all the art assets that we have at the moment and group them by the region where everything is going on, who lives where, and in each area what kind of items you can find and harvest.
Okay, so we're looking at swamp. Let's just focus on something. So let's go to swamps.
Yep.
It's a lot of information being loaded. So this is the background of the swamp biome. Then on the right side, in the right column, you see different objects that can exist. I think we've got ruins. I think we've got an obelisk. I think we've got an idol. I think we've got a portal.
And first one is a dwelling of drowners.
Okay, a dwelling of drowners. And then we've got the creatures that live in the swamp, which would be a Slook, creeper, and drowner. Then there could be also enemies, which would be earth leech, and an adventurer. Well, you know, they may come through, they may not. And then items that you could find with different groups. So that kind of a master version of the world that helps us to harmonize the look of the items, the look of the creatures, and then the look of the biomes. So let's go to, let's say, Waterfront. Yeah, so you got mermaids, you got the slooks, you get the same creepers, because creepers live everywhere where it's wet. A bit different in terms of minerals you can find, and then different objects that can exist there. So let's go to Catacombs, which is a sublocation. So you'll find catacombs on the global map, and then you can go down, and inside you can explore the caves. So you've got an entrance to dungeon, and then you've got the idols, underground idols, and you've got the pale one, which is a monster, and you've got the Cyclop. So you can see that Cyclop has a pretty big hammer. At the same time, Cyclop has an eye, which is a valuable ingredient. So maybe you want to be friends with them, but then you cannot really take an eye of your friend, or maybe you want to try to kill them and bring them back to the Spire and then use their eye. The pale ones are pretty creepy. But in the future, one of the options would be to breed the pale ones around the Spire and use them as the defense. Let's go to Black Pools, which is a very, very, very advanced biome. I'm not sure it will even be in the game at the early access launch. But basically, you have to go into distorted lands, and then in distorted lands, you have to go to a special place, dangerous place, which is called Black Pool. And there you can harvest black dew. I think we have a spelling mistake. Should be D-E-W. And then you've got the anomaly, which is purple on the right side, and the portal. And adventurers, but not very often you'll meet their adventure. Let's go to different biome. Are they completely, we got some questions, are they completely different in quality, will they include or not? Well, certain items and certain creatures can be found in certain biomes, but there is no direct connection that one animal would only be available in one type of biome. It's more of, in the wet biomes, you've got the animals that live in the wetlands, and adventurers, normally you can meet them in the eastern part of the map, but not in the western part of the map, so based on that. This is Distorted Lands with Anomaly and a portal. And that's a very late game location. So to go there and not to perish, you already have to equip your disciples very well. but you will have to go there probably because it's quite likely that one of the ingredients for Elixir of Youth will be in the distorted lands. Let's go look at some others. Yeah, heals. So you can see that the background image here for the heals is not final. It's, I would say it's a mid-level color sketch. At the same time, if you look at the minerals, then they're all done. And then if you look at the creature-based ingredients, they're also all done. So here you've got Stinktail, which represents certain danger as you travel through that type of biome. Ancient Forest, a lot of things are happening there. And then you've got the wildlands and farmlands.
So as you can see, even in the farmlands that are more or less in the area of Empire, you can meet some dangerous creatures like the Stinktail, because it's not a monster, it's just a predator that lives all around Rund and can hunt down some creatures, maybe some sheeps or whatever, who lives in the fields, farmlands, even where humans are. It can attack humans as well, so it's quite dangerous.
Basically, traveling across the world of Rund is not easy. It's quite dangerous. And I think this is something we may miscommunicated originally. Let's go to the right side, all the way to the right, to the dialog bubbles. But essentially it's quite dangerous. So we think you will discover that it's not just a question of sending person A to go to B, but it's a question of taking a risk. So that's like different types of considerations that we have when we design the layout. We will have certain personal reactions from characters. They will speak their minds, they will be excited, they will be scared. So we have to design all those layers, the biome, the object, the person, the creature, keeping in mind that there could be interactions like this. Now let's go to, I think we can go to take a look at some creatures. That's yeah, keep here for a second. So that's battlefields where you meet Bone Monster, and that's a very rare item called Death Essence. But to get there, I don't know. I mean, we're not yet sad if this will be already a part of early access. That's like a dangerous biome within the dangerous region, very far away from the Spire to the east. So we're not sure we'll balance it out by the time we launch in early access. Speaking of which, we have no release date. We have an ambition. So our ambition is to launch hopefully sooner than later. But it's as long as you try to balance things out, you start going rounds and change this, that means change that means change this. And every change we take a decision and we say, well, is it so bad, or is the new decision so good that we have to stop and redo? And if it's good enough, then we're stopping and redoing it. But let's go maybe to look at the states. And then we can take a look at the events or something. Yeah, so you can see the little bit of work that we've done on the states. States are very common. They show you the current condition if you're disciples, if you're a mage as well. An untreated state like sickness or depression can impact your performance significantly. People can die from poison, they can die from some illness. And it was, since they are almost everywhere, they're very important. So here you can see the icons from the left to the right of wounded, poisoned, then symptoms, and then we were looking for different ways to show illness in progress. Why we are spending so much time on these is because this is the very basic part of the interface that you will see every minute. And so, yeah, that's a good summary. So every improvement that we have with the symbols will bring lots of positive changes into player experience. Now, if we redraw a monster and you only meet this monster after 10 hours in the game, risk is not that big. But if you fail to properly show you that a person is hungry or starving, or the difference between hungry and starving, then we have a problem, because every time your characters will go hungry or starve, you may be confused and you may not be making optimal decisions. So I think we spent a lot of time on that, discussing and letting it sit for a few days, then going back, discussing again, or so on. What else do we want to show right now? Do we want to take a look at the build, or some interface design, some screens?
We want
library?
to show a build all the time. Actually, we'd like you to see some sneak peek of what we are working and how it plays right now. But of course, it's out of date. It's not so perfect. So
Yeah, I mean, the good news is that all the screenshots on the store page are very outdated. The bad news is that what you will see right now, when we switch to the build, it will also be outdated in a couple of weeks.
yeah, so you've been warned.
Yeah, just keep in mind, this is by no means how we think the game should look like. It's just a work in progress build. And one of the reasons why we're not streaming videos from in-game is that we're not still happy with this.
Okay, so
this is on the screen, right?
yeah, everyone should be able to see the spire in the middle of the screen and two different kind of forest around it. Ancient forest, and regular forest, the green one. And it's the maximum zoom in that you can see. If we'll zoom out, we'll see the whole picture of the area that has been already explored. And there is a couple of markers on a map. There is the habitat of mushroom eaters, there is ruins, there is source of magic.
We apologize for the lack of localization. We just started working on this, on localizing different things. So that's just a mix of English and Russian in the game right now. That's not representative of
So
the game.
what you can see here right now is only the points of interest. There is no resources markers, there is no ongoing quests and roads that your party will use to move around. It's just the basics. So I'd say that this looks like a super early stage of a game. You've explored just a tiny bit of a map.
I thought you'll say this looks like shit.
We're trying to avoid this word on the stream.
Yeah.
Maybe there is kids watching. So yeah, it's the basic start that you have. We'll cheat a little bit and we'll reveal some areas that you can find around. If we'll go west, we'll be able to see more of human kind of areas.
The difficulty in creating the global map, which has been our headache for weeks and weeks, I think for months, is in the balance between making different biomes different. So when you see the hills, you know these are the hills. When you see the forest, you know this is the forest and not the ancient forest. And making it look like a map, and then having a connection between how the biome looks inside and how the biome looks outside. So for example, ancient forest looks bluish inside, but on the map you see the orange tops of the trees, the fields here. So but we're still not done with this. We're trying to bring a balance between what you see on the global map and what you see once you go in. And then finally that it doesn't look like crap. It takes some effort. And then there's all this information on the screen. So we have to see the points of interest. We have to see the areas where you can pick mushrooms, hunt for animals,
Yeah, so for example, if we want to harvest something, we can hunt, we can forage, or we can explore the area to find some interesting stuff around here. So for hunting, we can choose different ways what we want to achieve with this task. We want to find specific resource like fat of Tasluk or grab some meat or fur of animals, or we can hunt for everything that we can. So we will bring home all these kind of resources in different proportions depending on the area that you're hunting in. Same applies for foraging. There is a lot of different ingredients, like plant-based ingredients that can be found in the forest. For example, in a field, you'll be able to find other kinds of ingredients, so you'll be able to choose what you want to collect.
Except it's not real time, so you send the party and then you wait for the party to come back, and maybe it doesn't. So
yeah, it is harder than it sounds to collect something.
That's another thing, is that we want to avoid giving you the illusion of controlling the whole map. And if I look at the map right now, it looks like I should be able to click on any party and tell the party to do something. But we have to remember that you send the party in the quest and then you wait for the party to come back.
So yeah, for example, if you'd like to research the area that you haven't revealed yet, you'll choose this exploration type of quest. You'll be able to choose.
There's a weird bug in this build. Everyone is naked.
Yeah.
don't think
someone stole their belongings while they were sleeping.
I mean, don't think that this is how the game will be like if you.
So yeah, you can decide who will go, and you'll choose what kind of belongings you want to give them. For example, some kind of mushrooms, or basic ingredients for some kind of cooking, like fresh meat, or you can give them already prepared ratios. For example, travel ratios that will stay fresh for a long time. And then you'll say just embark on your adventure, and they'll start traveling around the map, hopefully.
Let's maybe check some interface sections.
Okay, yeah. For disciples, we already showed in our blog the screen, the main screen for a disciple with the current skills, what we know and what we don't know, the stats, and his traits on the bottom of the screen.
So basically here the visuals are already connected with the game mechanics, and the traits that we show, they're exact and specific. Let's go to the selection of the rooms, maybe just to show.
Yep. This screen is absolutely temporary. We will replace it with nice icons and proper layout.
Maybe not nice. Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, this is the list of rooms that will be in the early access version. So, warehouse is where you store stuff. Research lab is where you perform research on items that you find and you advance your knowledge. Alchemy studio is where you create potions. Workshop is where you create and repair stuff like clothing, equipment. Kitchen obviously is where you cook food. Magic chamber is where you cast magic and perform rituals. And mage quarters is where your mage lives. I think we're missing something. Living quarters.
Yeah, for sure. There is disciples' living quarters where we'll be able to see their personal belongings and their status. Yeah. Yes. For warehouse, we already can see that our Spire is prospering, and there are so many items that we've collected.
What's the thing with the blue background? Was it?
Blue circle is temporary icon.
No, but go up.
Yep.
Here. Go down. There is a section with the blue background.
No. It's some unique items that have a unique rarity level.
Okay.
For now, but I think they will be lowered for just very rare, because for now Emerald is unique, that says that it can be found only like one in the whole world.
It's gonna work out well for us.
So yeah, it'll be fixed.
Okay. And then
For workshop, we already have recipes working, so we can try and create something.
let's do something. Yeah.
We can create, or maybe not. I lied.
Or maybe not.
Yeah. Okay. At least we can see some recipes and how they can be assembled. For example,
It's Alchemic Studio, right?
it's a mix of different rooms at the moment. For example, warm coat can be made out of a fur and leather, but we don't have these elements for now in Spire, so cannot be created. Or ideal ratio that contains 5 different ingredients. It's the most complex ratio in a game, and it gives a lot.
You can see that the interface is quite. I mean, to me, it's quite depressing. There's still a lot of work to be done in terms of rearranging things. So what we're busy right now, and the reason why the game is not coming next week or next month, is that we've got great pieces with which we're pretty happy, but putting them together in a way that makes the game easy to play is quite time consuming and difficult. So structuring the screen where you can make an item, structuring a screen where you can research certain things, we go through different iterations. Once we're done with the build, maybe we can take a look at the board and show how we've created, let's say, library, just going through version to version.
Yeah, and here is quest report, work in progress. Currently, it's our party that trying to explore the area in
Lots
ancient
of dead
forest.
people.
Yeah, and there is a lot of log reports about the consuming of food
It's
and
like
foraging.
food and death. That's what the world is about.
Yeah.
So once you're done with the build, we can go maybe to take a look at the interface.
Yeah, I think that's everything that we are allowed to show for now.
Allowed. I mean, I wouldn't show you this if I could.
So, what do we want to show next?
I want to show the board with the library
board.
screen. So we can just explain why we struggle for days with each room.
This one?
Not sure. I think no.
No.
I think that's just your concepts.
Event form?
It's not the events, it's just the rooms. So not animations, not an
Sure.
illustration.
Okay.
Yeah, library workshop, I think that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go there.
So it represents this hard process of finding the solution for maybe at the beginning we were thinking about it. It was kind of simple location, simple room, library.
So you start working on this interface, and then you discover some questions. For example, who can copy the book? How can you control the books that can be copied? Are books that are being copied destroyed? Are books that are destroyed subject to getting repaired up to 100%? What happens if I copy a damaged book and then repair it? So there's multiple solutions for each of those cases, and then so these are just references. Let's go to library and let's start. Let's say here. On the left side, you've got a list of disciples, then you got a list of books in the library, and then you pick up the disciple, pick up the book, and basically it shows you the requirements for literacy and the skill, in this case, herbology, and then you see that he doesn't know ancient language, so he cannot read that book. That seemed all right until we started playing different scenarios and understood that that is not going to work out. So we've changed the screen a little bit. We split requirements and what you get out of reading this book. We've added the title of the book. We've added the time that it takes you to read the book. We've added the cost of this book if you will trade it. We've added the status. You can see the status is called illegal. So this book is not open for trade. And then we split it between different skills, herbology, travel magic, and so on. Didn't like it. Think there's one more version down here. Yeah, slight changes. So let's go to the next revision. Now we came up with a different way of showing the requirements and the provisions for the books. In this case, we have visuals mostly, and our game designer, he was very specific about saying, let's not say this book gives you 120 experience points. Let's just say it gives you a lot. So we pursued for some days this concept that we should not give you exact numbers, but we should just point you in the right direction. A lot, a little, somewhat. I think we abandoned it after a couple of tries. There's something at the bottom right here. Yeah. So you can see some comments as we made. We switched to showing you stars. So literacy, herbology, and gathering, they're all displayed as a progress of stars. Then we realized that we'll have to show you 2.5, 3.5 stars, and that started to look bad. Yeah. So the next revision had stars which were supposed to be cut in half with 3 different colors, meaning this you have read already, this you can read now, and this you cannot read because your theory and practice is out of balance.
Yeah, so the amount of information and the way we was trying to show it went different directions, and the idea of simplification didn't work out well, actually.
It was, you work on this game, you know everything, you look at the screen and you say, holy crap, it's I don't know, what do you want me to do on the screen, all those stars and half stars, and yeah, it was confusing. So let's go back here. So you see a different representations on the right side. There is a skill level, there is the requirement, there is a secondary skill, and then the primary skill. We've changed the color of the stars to green circles. Let's go down. Okay, we've created different chapters for different types of books in the library. We realized that we'll have to show states of the character. Another attempt to make it easy. Yeah, progress of the book as you read it. Yeah, screw that. Let's go up to the next revision. I think it's up there. Yeah. So here you can see that we're trying to portray different stars by changing their background. So you see yellow backgrounds and green backgrounds, and then the stars are red. And then you've got different character info with different traits. Let's go down. So here is another attempt to make it easier. We're not very successful. There is still a lot of information shown in a different way. So I think we're moving closer to where we ended up. Here we realize that you can read, you can copy. Let's go down. Yeah, and here we have again different solutions for the stars and the progress. It does sound fun, when we look at this, because we went through so many versions.
Yeah, there were so many ideas of how to show it, and all of them were quite wrong.
Yeah, I mean, so basically what you can see from this example is that the idea to show the knowledge and the experience is in stars did not work out, and we tried this kind of stars and that kind of stars, but the problem was that stars don't work well as an indication of how much you get from each book. And things only improved when we understood that we have to switch from stars to specific numbers. So here you can see that we are calculating numbers, and we want to show you numbers. And I think at the next revision we do end up with numbers. Yeah, so if someone wants to make games, this is the pain. This is what you have to be ready for, all right? It's not so glorious. So here you see already numbers next to the books, showing you the specific experience. Then we have to account for different types of books. The books can be damaged, the book can be read, the book can be the first type of this book ever in the Spire. And then you've got the assignment, what to read. At some point, we understood, shit, we're not making a direct control strategy, we're making an indirect control strategy. So you're not a person who came to read a book. You're a manager of the library, building up lists of books. So you have to manage books, and you have to say, hey, you go read books related to battle magic, but not, you know, go read specific book, or you specific person go read specific book. And then we have different interface for knowledge goals and so on. So moving forward, you can see some evolution and more, and then that's already a workshop. Yeah, that's already a workshop.
So for books, the main, I think, revelation for us was that we've changed the way leveling works. Previously, level up for a disciple was linear, so each new level will have the same amount of experience that character should get to get the level up. And nowadays we chose the way of exponential experience curve, so we need much more experience on the next level.
Like going from level 6 to level 7 is a much bigger leap than going from level 1 to level 2. And so you will not be really able to level up from 6 to 7 by reading level 1 books. Or you'll have to have, I don't know, the whole bandwagon of those books. I think maybe it's time to show you our game designer. Because as we were talking, he was in the office on some business, and I wanna catch him before he goes to drink tea. Just a sec as we try to set up the camera. You got the camera?
One moment, working on it. Yeah, it's alive.
It's live.
Yeah,
okay,
everyone
so
should see like our office. Yeah.
Okay.
Move slowly. Hello, that's me.
Just so you know where you are. So I'm gonna make a quick tour. There you see our game designer busy with some accounting matters, because he also has some accounting matters. I don't know what else. Okay, I have to move slower. Rita, say hi.
Hi.
So all the creatures you've seen, that's her work. What are you busy with?
I'm drawing in regular forest background.
It's a pretty big arrow you've got there.
Yeah, because it needs to indicate to an update on a huge report.
Yeah. So what happens is we're getting a link, and someone expects you to go and comment, and you open the board and it's got 100 different items. And the first thing you do is you call that person and say, where exactly should I look? So now this arrow gets bigger and bigger, so you know what to look at. This is Monica. If you've seen any animations, then that's what she's doing. So you're animating a mermaid.
Yes, I'm trying to animate it.
Wobble wobble.
Wobble wobble. Yeah, I can make it dance.
Hey. Hi mermaid. Hi everyone. Another busy person working, and you see our gremlins and some art from other games. Where do we have it? Yeah. Okay. And the most important part of our office is right here. Hey.
Hello, Daisy.
She's sleeping after lunch. Come walk with me. Come walk with me. Come. Come say hi. Allora. And then we've got a bunch of greens. So we can survive the winter. If anyone is into doing pull-ups, we've got that covered. What else? Gonna make a round. Some of you might know this game. This is a joke you can read. So I think we have to do it like this. Now that's better. Leszek, say hi. All right. That's pretty much it, except for some skis. And I think we can switch back to real time. Allora, if there's nothing else, then
maybe we have some time for questions from chat.
sure, if there's any questions.
Okay, from extension, are there 7 different biomes? I think there is much more than 7.
I don't know, I mean, does it really matter? Anyway, I think the summary at the end of this conversation is that for this year we've done a lot in terms of setting straight different color corners of the game. The character generator is done, it's finished, it's there online, you can see. It took us quite some time to fine-tune all those characters, and now that it's done, we're not even thinking about this, but that at a certain moment, that was a few months of work to get everything to generate and to be able to generate thousands of different characters. We were not even certain that we could do this at some point, but then we figured out that we could. There's been a lot of creative work that just set the world of Ruined as it is. So drawing characters, drawing biomes, finding the colors, finding the right style so that you can see that, you know, this is unique and this is how it's done. Then there's been some work on logic, and then going in circles and structuring quests, characters, creating the world that lives, calculating everything so as you move from one point to another, the world is alive, and the characters that you meet, they also exist in this world. They're not just generated into your screen. And I think the last couple of months have been mostly spent on designing interface. And that takes some time.
The big thing that Alexey, our game designer, is working right now is decision making. It's like one of the core systems of the game that will create all the fun for this game, or most of it, right? Because if your disciples are quite boring and dumb and make dumb decisions, it will frustrate you. So he's trying his best to make them as live as possible and to be unique with their own traits and behaviors. So you'll...
It all comes down to making decisions. I mean,
Yeah,
you
that's right.
equip the guys, you send them into this environment, but they have to be able to go on without you and without your control. And for him, I think that's the biggest part that's left to do, to finalize the quest system. For you, it's user interface. For sure.
Yeah, mostly I need to assemble everything, because we have a lot of concepts and ideas that haven't been implemented in a build for now. And that's my main goal, to transfer all the ideas from a paper to working build, and so we will have some kind of closed beta or something like this.
And
Yeah.
then there's a bunch of art left to do, but we're not much worried about that. I mean,
Yeah.
art and music, that's something we can always throw in at whatever, you know, once the game ships. the most important thing is that we need to be happy with the main campaign, and we need to be in a situation where you can sit down and play through and enjoy it. Maybe not much, but at least a little. And at this time, we're still structuring this interface experience that is essential to coming through.
For this year, like I was checking when I've started like seriously working on this project, and it's been like 11 months. Shh.
Yeah. I mean, almost the whole year.
And
Almost the whole
yeah,
year.
like almost 12 months of work, and we had a lot of research going on, and that delayed some of production, but at the same time it allowed us to find a lot of solutions and interesting mechanics that we've decided to add to the game and to improve it overall.
Yeah.
And for example, release of a character generator, we've was planning to release it faster. It
Yeah, it
happened.
should come out like this month, then next month, then next month, then localization, then localizing it into Japanese. We discovered that maybe we need to talk to our translators and get some community feedback, because translating certain things into Japanese without the context of the game
Yeah,
was
so
not
it
easy.
kind of affected the speed of development, but at the same time, we have found a solution for a portrait generation during this thing, and I think we've made quite a good job at the portraits, and it's shows really unique faces, and you can distinguish disciples from each other if there is even a slight changes in their face or emotions or whatever. So we spent a couple of months, but we've found proper solution for this.
I think basically there are certain stretches of time when you're happy and not happy at the same time. You're looking for a solution, so you're getting frustrated and stressed, then sometimes unhappy, and then at the end you find the solution and you're happy that you made the solution that is much better than what you had before.
Yeah, and now it looks so easy, and you think
Yeah,
why you
yeah.
haven't found it before, but without the research you cannot find it.
It's
So
been
yeah,
literally, I think, a couple of weeks on the library, and discussions that went for a couple of hours each time. Does it make sense? Yeah, I think it does. No, it doesn't. Why? Because of this. Okay, shit. What do we do? How about that? How about that? How about this? How about that? So that sort of painful search for the solution, that's the unhappy part. The happy part is once you find the right solution, then it looks very easy, like the rarity frames. I think we've done 5 or 6 versions of showing rarity of items. And then finally we've got the rarity frames done right. So now they're almost invisible to me. I just take them for granted as a part of the world. But before we did it, it was like, it's done. Nah, it's not done. Okay, it's almost done. Let's change this.
yeah, and in our process we don't count the amount of iterations. If we see that it fits, then we know it, like, and that's it. We've done it, but we cannot say like 5 iterations and that's it, and it will be done.
So I think the obvious risk is that we will keep iterating the game for the whole of 2019. And in July of next year, you will still see us posting development logs about, doing this and that. But I don't think this is likely to happen, because at that point, we're already impatient ourselves to launch the game and to see you guys play and to get the data of how you play the game. And so we are moving to the point where we just want to ship. We will not compromise on certain things, but if we can move the room to full release and leave it out of early access, we will do this. We don't have any ambition to, ship the biggest early access game ever, or to ship something that has at least, 120 ingredients.
Yeah, but it should be playable and should
Yeah.
be fun. There will be bugs, of course. There will be some missing content from not like a full release, but it should be playable and should be fun. Without it, there is no reason to release it in EA.
Yeah. So basically, thanks to everyone who understands the current process and who have been very supportive in listening to and listening to our stream of creative developments, to people who are looking at this in the
And
blogs and Discord. It means a lot to get that feedback. And now the last thing I want to do is I want to open the keychain. I don't know
Yeah,
if you can
sure, we
switch the
will
camera.
show
Can
it.
you
Yeah,
switch the
we'll
camera?
show
Yeah.
it. And
I don't know
also,
how
we
they look,
really
so-
appreciate that you not only like support us, but you always share your ideas and you suggest things. And some of them are implemented in the game, and they are
Can
really
we stream
helpful.
video? Yeah.
working on it. One moment, we'll be able to show the process of unpacking.
Yeah, we haven't seen what's inside, so don't be too frustrated.
Yep.
Okay, so I think, wow, it's really well packed. Maybe I could borrow some scissors.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh,
So many sharp objects in this office.
allora.
And
Oh,
perfect. So it's badges that we'll be giving away
yeah.
during our
Well, these are not exactly the badges we'll be giving away, because this is not what we wanted. we have a slightly better version coming in.
yeah, even better. Improved version 1.1.
But yeah,
Good.
that's
Looks great.
kind of, it's gonna be better because the inside will be printed in a different way. But yeah. So as soon as we get the right delivery, we'll give away this on Discord.
Cool.
Thanks a lot for being with us on this beautiful December day, and see you guys later on Discord.
Yeah, hope you enjoy the stream and you're passionate about the project and can wait a little bit more before we'll release it. So, yeah, see you on Discord, and thanks for watching.
ciao.
We will upload it to YouTube later, so everyone who missed it will be able to watch it.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.